If you guys have forgotten where we're at with this 300ZX behind me, don't worry, so have I. But that won't stop us. I'm going to throw it on the trailer shortly. There are a few things that I'm aware of that we will need to take a look at and sort out. There are a few things that I have sorted out just in case as a precaution. Now the clutch master cylinder was all stuck and yuck and not working, and I took it apart, gave it a quick daffy up to make it work good enough to move things around once or twice, and it was leaking internally. It wasn't leaking externally. There was no fluid falling out, but there was fluid falling into the wrong spots inside, so it stopped working. You could pump pedal and it would go again. That's fine. So I took that off, and I took the brake master cylinder off, because that lives right next to that, and they're the same age, and they've been sitting for the exact same amount of time. So if that one's dead, that's probably going to be dead too, so we might as well undead the pair of them and make the car good. So we did that. So that's been rebuilt, and while I was at it, I got a new one of him. This one actually looks all right, probably, potentially. It looks like it was, maybe it was new at some point just not long ago. It's not worth the hassle, because it's not worth a lot of money. 80 bucks or something at a dear price, versus it craps out somewhere and you need a tow truck, and that's hundreds of dollars straight away. And even if it doesn't need a tow truck, if it breaks on the dyno, then you'd probably blow a couple $100 worth of time just sorting that out anyway. So all those things are all new now, and you would have seen I didn't hook up the brakes. There, see, I haven't bothered with that. We got no brake lines in the front and stuff. I just want to, let's tune it. Let's get that on the dyno and do enough of a tune that we can run that up and make sure it's not a lemon and there's no big problems. We don't want to have, I strongly suspect we may have leaking exhaust gaskets or something like that, and then on these things you're done. You've got to pull the engine out to fix it. So let's not go all nuts and do lots and lots like I think I mentioned it earlier, water injection and nitrous oxide and all that sort of stuff. Let's not do that. Let's make that go, make sure it's good. Slow down, Glenn. And then we'll do the other stuff. But for now, one thing that I'm a little bit dubious about, there's fuel pressure comes from over yonder somewhere, and it goes to a solenoid on the nitrous oxide system, and it goes through some little wee AN3 lines, I think they might be AN4, I can't remember. It goes on to they're tucked away, see, because I hid them. They're down here somewhere, the nitrous oxide, wet nitrous oxide injectors. That system could be leaking, and if it's leaking, it's putting fuel down in the pipes down at the bottom there. So I'm just going to, before we get it to the dyno, I'll do a couple of clamps and just make sure we're not filling that system up with fuel. All right, neighbour's just left, so I've got to get it on the dyno, on the trailer rather. I can do those things when it's on the trailer. It's probably easier than doing it on the floor here. Well, we went from an absolute crapper of a cold, foggy, dewy day to a stunner. Car's down here at Tuning Performance. It drove onto the trailer, it drove off. It's a bit rich. Hopefully we haven't fouled another one of those spark plugs under that plenum there. So I've just blanked off a couple of things. I think I talked about it earlier on. It's ready for the master to come along and do his thing that he needs to do. I like the wheels. In fact, the wide body kit, yeah, I like that from here too. That's not bad. Obviously we've got a front bumper missing and stuff and things. I've never really been a fan of the round tail lights, but that's fine. People like their own things. Some of you will think that's awesome, some of you will think that's not, some of you will be in between. I don't think it's awful, but it's just not my thing. But they'll be alright anyway. Wheels look cool, definitely look awesome. Yeah, so plan at this point. Throw something in it enough of a tune that we know that it's not going to ruin the plugs for now, because they're a bit busy, and then I can leave it with them and they can do the proper tune as we discussed earlier on. Otherwise, if the plugs are going to go bad on us, which yeah, may be too late for that, I'll pull the plenum off and do the plugs and stuff, save some coin. Otherwise, you'll pay a lot more per hour for them to do it than for me. Don't mind, it's good, like I say, good being out here in the sunshine. Look at that, not a cloud in the sky. I'm not going to film the sun. Oh, I lied, there's sun there, look, see. Rightio, same game, different players, or different player, I guess. Got the Z there, all set up, ready to go. Just going to fire it up, have a look at the cold tune stuff and things. We've got a tune that I've stolen from the Blue Z, so it should be in the ballpark, and we'll see how far wrong it is, how much it needs to be changed. Just make sure the thing's not a lemon. Got our manifold air pressure sensor on there, and we've got a fuel pressure sensor just to double check everything's not telling lies. Air intake temp sensor there for the dyno, not lying, that's the air that's going in there, so people think we put that up the exhaust pipe or whatever to get bigger numbers. We don't do that. I don't know what numbers are showing up on here. It looks like Newton meters, so that's not going to be much use. I'm not going to scroll through that. That was the Blue Z, what it made there. I think it was 380 something kilowatts, not sure. Rightio. Usual stuff and things. No real dramas so far. Fingers crossed. We are already at 409, I think it was, kilowatts at the hub, on about 17 and a half PSI. So it's doing good, it's doing alright. Just go see if it'll take a bit more boost. Why not? Trying to warm it up. It'll need a new thermostat. Rightio. It's Friday afternoon, we better not break it.
made any more. Nah, it didn't make any more. Fail.
Alright, back in the lab. It's basically 5 o'clock on the Friday arvo. There's a fair bit of time involved in that one, but that's how it goes sometimes. It didn't make any more power. We tried to get more boost out of it, and the turbos said, mate, it's a pretty big job. So no more boosties. I think the number was 409 kilowatts at the hubs on, I don't know if I screenshotted it or not, 17.5 psi or something like that. It might be 18 towards the end or something. We tried to make more boost and it didn't. It basically stayed the same. Oh, there was a tiny with nothing at the end that gave a tiny little bit more, and actually did 406 kilowatts. So that's that. Turbos are maxed. That's what they can do. It's a bit of a shame. I think the owner was kind of hoping that they'd do a bit more than that. So was I, actually, but that's what they are. I don't know exactly what they are. I'm pretty sure they're 2860s of some description, but obviously not a very potent version of them. They're not GTXs or anything like that as far as I'm aware. So just thinking through what the things that went wrong. Not that many, actually. Most of it went right. What went wrong was I talked about that ATI damper being a dick of a thing to set the timing, and talked about putting mark on. It's in this video, I'm pretty sure. We put a mark on the trigger wheel and my wife gave me a hand and we set the timing. The base timing was set right. We spent quite a bit of time making sure that was right and double checking it was right afterwards, and it was right. It was done. Put the car on the dyno and trying to run it on the dyno, and Adrian's going, seems like it's got a lot of timing in it. I keep pulling the timing out of it. Are you sure the base timing's right? And I was like, we set it. We spent a bit of time and effort on it. And then we, while we were in there checking plugs, and we checked the base timing, and it was wrong. It needed changing. So I don't have an answer for that, whether there was a connection issue between the laptop and the ECU and it disconnected, and I thought it had stored it and it hadn't, is the most plausible and most logical sort of thing. Perhaps that happened. I'm not sure. But it's resolved now, currently, presently. It's going to get checked before it leaves here. It seems to run fine. A little bit of blow-by early on in the game, probably because of excessive advance on the timing. With that dealt with, it doesn't seem as bad. Certainly not oil smoke coming out of there, it's just condensation out of the catch can there. So that's all right. So, I mean, thermostat, it needs a new thermostat. That one's a bit sticky, it gets quite hot under power and runs too cool idling. Unfortunately, that's a prick of a job on a 300ZX, but there you go. That's why you don't fill them up with antifreeze to start with. You just fill them up with water, because 300ZXs can be dicks and you end up having to go in there and fix things. So overall, pretty successful. Yeah, so base timing was wrong. Needs a thermostat. I'd been a bit pessimistic with the amperage limit on the PDM on a couple of, just a fuel pump actually, on the big fuel pump. So changed that, took 2 minutes and that was that problem solved. The small fuel pump on the Polar Engineering cradle, the real fancy nice cradle that we put in there, the small fuel pump does not run. It just doesn't go. So I don't know, I'll have to pull that back out and have a look. Either the plugs come off it or the pump's faulty, which sucks, but that can happen. It shouldn't, but it can. Not a complaint, it's just a thing, and just being honest. So from here, there's a little bit of tidying up to do. Not a hell of a lot. It seems like the engine's sufficiently good enough to do what we want it to do. There's not going to be any dramas there. Look, it's still warm after just putting it away in the garage just now. Not up to temp, but warm. Yeah, obviously the 400 kilowatts We backed it off a little bit, and it was 400 kilowatts, 0.61 or something. So it's right on the nose, 400 at the hubs. That is on slightly less boost. It might have been 16 or something like that. No NOS and no water injection. Some of the stuff is there, or most of the stuff is in the engine bay for NOS, nitrous oxide, but it's not enabled at this point. There's no tank in the back or anything. There's no tuning done for that. There's no water injection system at all, just the ports for the injectors, the nozzles or whatever we want to call it. Water injection is probably going to help those turbos do a little bit more. It's just how it works. Look into it. If we put it in pre-turbo, although we've put it in post-turbo, so all it'll do is drop charge temp. Probably, who knows? Yeah, you can probably run a little bit more advanced on the timing, and then you make more power that way, but it won't help with the turbos. If you put it in before the compressor housings, then magic happens, according to a turbo guru. Helps the compressor seal against the compressor housings and just makes them go more better on volumetric efficiency and all that sort of carry on, but there it is. All right, that's how I'm done. I'm quite tired. Go inside for a chocolate milk. Thanks for watching. Cheers, boy.